live? We live? We live? I hate checking on my phone. Okay. So what is this? So, for people who have delved into my YouTube archives, which, admittedly is only large because I upload everything I do, I have a bunch of match analysis videos that I was doing for the summer IGL session for my team, in part because I wasn't playing. And I just decided to try my hand at that. I really didn't do a lot for the fall, and I really haven't done much for winter. Um, but what I did actually promise the team best team captain is that I would kind of do kind of a general analysis video, kind of like I did for their one week where I lost all sound. But just kind of rather than just focus on them, I'm just going to focus on the match as a whole. Um, and now that I think I've found a title for this, which is "What are you doing wrong?" Um, I like to use that phrase when I'm providing feedback to the Grand Champ teams. Um, as I jokingly say, "Oh yeah, look, here's the Champ One, Champ Two, just telling you all the things that you're doing wrong." So I think now I have a name for these random videos I will do. So I don't know exactly what we're going to find here, but we're just going to go through the broadcast. As we advance in the series, we probably won't be stopping as much. I'll just be calling out things. That's already. Yeah, now I remember what I should be doing. I should just be playing with this on the entire time. So this is going to be your standard kickoff goal. For reference, this is in the IGL. This is Tier 5, so this is Diamond 1, Diamond 2 play. Might actually include lower because there wasn't enough to fill out the Div 6 or Tier 6, which is Plat 3 and below. And it was kind of ended up being a small division tier. So there wasn't even 16 teams. So there might be just like a little weirdness going on, but I'm assuming everyone is Diamond 1, Diamond 2. So, yeah, your standard kickoff goal. I kind of want to look at things just from Urfo's perspective. Like, this is smart. Yeah, wait for the touch. So a mistake I made. Urfo should just be trying to attack the ball just a little bit more. Because so he does move up. They move up. I shouldn't be assigning genders to anyone that I don't know. So Urfo moves up. Good idea. And then just kind of stops. And, it's like, oh, let me just reline myself. And I'd probably just argue, and I know this is a league match, this is playoffs and everything, but sometimes the best way to just figure out if you did everything right is to attack the ball. And I say this as someone who still does this all the time. Also because stopping kills a lot of your your forward momentum. So you end up just like boosting and jumping straight up, like if you do a double jump. So it's finding that balance between uh, forward momentum and then trying to get the height and the read. Like again, it's gonna happen. I do want to call something out, and again, it's just things that people do. So I'm also not trying to pick out anyone. So, and this is something that just comes with time. What I'm calling out here is Blue Moon. Blue Moon thought about hitting that ball again. Um, Again, you probably see this more at the lower ranks than you. But I mean, it still pops up at Grand Jap. It's just a case of like I can do something with this ball. One of the best pieces of advice I can always give is sometimes the best thing you can do is actually not touch the ball, and then from there, it's the best thing you could. The best thing you should be doing is not trying to hit the ball backwards, and that. There are times to always break that rule, but generally you are best off not trying to hit the ball backwards. Blue Moon didn't touch it. Realized probably got called off, but like the same thing there is just, especially in threes, more than likely one of your teammates should actually be coming up for that. As we can see, Tiesto here, and gets it around two people. So I'm curious, just like Mr. Pink's line of attack here. Oh, maybe trying to dodge a demo here? Yeah, that looks like it. Try and use handbrake, that sort of thing. Just pointing out as like, things to do. I want to rewind that. So this is something I just saw Blue Moon doing throughout the Okay. Yep. Blue Moon had been doing a couple of really delayed kickoffs. And like if you want to win the kickoff back to your team or get control, you're guaranteed that second touch if you do it correctly. So that was some pretty heads up play throughout the series that with the kickoffs. So now, what happened here? This just seems like a mistouch. Okay. So from Murpho's perspective, this ball just goes down. So now, now I'm going to pick on the TBT guys. Yeah, so just Morty's just going to miss here. With everything, this just takes some time. This is kind of a pre-flip block. And again, we're looking at this second hand, kind of everything. Morty did have a little bit of time, so he actually could have attacked that ball a little bit more. Actually got the hit rather than going for the block. We can probably take a look at it from Tiesto's perspective here. Yeah, so I kind of also see like just a little doing a little wiggle there. Morty may have called out they have the challenge. Um, I don't know exactly how I stand on that. It's a little far out. The thing is just with everything, you if you're doing a challenge like this, you just kind of have to hit the ball because you have the chance of freezing your teammate because they're like, oh, my teammates they called it, they're gonna hit the ball. When you miss, it just kind of it messes everything up. Like that's some good defense right there. See, that's a missed touch. You can kind of see the double commits there. A little panicking from Claytonwood. That's a nice demo. Nothing really came out of it, but that's a good heads-up play. That's very ambitious there from Morty, but again, not going to fault. You know, again, even at Diamond, going for it. As long as you tell your teammates, like they can prepare, just like okay, I just need to be here because you're the one attacking the ball. Ah, I remember this. Okay, so now I know who I need to be on. So this is just communication, 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 communication. If Urfo said they have it, Redbearded probably should have backed off. Because, like, also, like, yeah, Mr. Pink's just kind of rotating back. I actually, like, want to see why Mr. Pink was out there. I'm just curious. Oh, okay. I'm actually glad I looked at this. Okay, so here's the thing. If again we're looking at this through hindsight, if Urfro clears it, like it depends on basically where it goes. If it goes up the what we're calling the far side, where the play's at, Mr. Pink's going to have to cross the field. If it comes up the middle or comes his near side, Mr. Pink probably has a play on the ball. If it comes to a near side wall, like it's actually dependent upon who's going to get, because that would probably actually be Redbearded's ball. So, what Mr. Pink should actually be doing, and you can kind of see like there's a post, and I think this does have a little bit to do with skill level, just not being familiar with a lot of things and boost management and that sort of thing. But 36 is more than enough to make a save. Most saves, and you got half a tank, and depending on how you come back, there's one boost pad. So like Mr. Pink could be at at 50, but instead turns around and don't know if they'd come back that they might have a chance of a save, but like because of like the defensive miscue, it's kind of like just you've got to think a little bit ahead sometimes. So it's just like what am I doing? I'm just calling that out because it's just like sometimes in a way it's like one of the toughest things to do is you see that nice shiny 100 that spawned, and Mr. Pink could see it. It's just like, well, I'll go grab that, but it's like really, in a way, they were kind of needed back in their zone. So that's a nice save. So just calling this out, just because this is kind of the same thing. So everyone does this. You just kind of get zoom laser focused on the ball. So Redbearded should do one, two things. Should either do a far post rotation or do a near post rotation. They probably could have cut a near post. Again, depend upon if they didn't think their teammates could save the ball. Like you actually kind of had a better chance at clearing it if you have a good chance of clearing it out either way. But it's like if you go near post, then you could push it again to the far side of the screen, to that far wall. If you do a near post rotation, you'll have to deal with Morty. If you do the far post, the thing is that here Redbearded, this right here is dangerous. Instead, and again, I see this a lot more at the lower ranks, and that is get to the net quickly and spin around. Well, the problem is with making a beeline here, this ball could end up in the back of your own net. It doesn't. It hits off Redbearded and gets out, but like that is super dangerous. And with with just like a lot of things, it's just you learn that with time. That's a horrendous double commit there. Nice demo play. Yeah, let's. I mean, this basically starts with that. Not the best touch there from Blue Moon. So, okay, yeah. So this is a case of I think I can do something with it. So it's fun. This is actually kind of interesting. So what Redbeard was probably trying to do was trying to like flip into the ball or whatever, try and get the corner of the car shot. Here's kind of the problem. You're attacking from the side. And kind of jumped a little early. Probably could have waited. So usually, again, and this is when you have to decide when you break it. Usually, when attacking the ball from the side on offense, to shoot is a really bad idea. If you want to pass, that's fine. I think in this case, Redbeard needed to call off teammate, or it's probably actually Urfo's ball. What Redbeard should have actually done is just rotate around. Urfo should have called them off, and done whatever they wanted to do. Instead, Redbeard gets kind of a very weak touch. Blue Moon gets the third person back and just cleans it up. And that's just an easy goal for TBT. But like when you look at it, it all started with the double commit. I was calling that out there in the third match. I'm like, I think Blue Moon is intentionally delaying the kickoff, and I like that. It's about good as faking if you know what you're doing. It's close double. Ooh, Blue Moon almost got that off the backboard. Yeah, Blue Moon probably could have left that ball. Like, you could have screened it and just not like try and get the touch on it. Again, that's just something that comes with time and experience. It's just let it go. That ball just kind of floats in there. I'm just going to say, like, surprisingly, there's not really a lot of things to pick apart. TBT did have the majority of the pressure for the series. So, like, I don't know if I'm gonna, just because, like, obviously spoiler alert, especially if you saw the replay guide, like, TBT sweeps the series, but okay, so I want to see I want to see how Mr. Pink attacks this ball. So that comes around, that comes out. Okay, just kind of misreads it. I do this all the time. Okay, so probably let's see what happens. Okay, probably should have just laid off the boost. This is again. This is like the bigger brother to creeping up. Creeping up, you're just kind of like watching the ball and slowly like feathering the throttle. And you're like, well, I thought I was like, in the defensive midfield, and next thing I know, I'm on the goal line. So like, Mr. Pink is rushing this ball, and again, probably comes with experience. Probably just could have waited, see what the touch was. See what Morty does, and it looks like that ball's way too far off. Again, not to crap on diamonds, but that's a pretty tough hit. I remember actually at this level when I actually hit one off the wall. I'm like, I have no idea how I did that. And my wall play right now is pretty bad. So, like, this is probably a case of, like, almost like knowing where you're at. Knowing the level of play, and that, there's a good chance that the defender's not going to get that ball. So you can take the slow approach. And, like Mr. Pink's probably, like, focused on the ball. But, like, if you have the vision, you can see like Tiesto's far post here. Stops. Probably trying to get the read just in case Morty misses. It's like, I just think that here, there's a lot of things that Mr. Pink could have actually done. I actually think they have a very legitimate chance of putting that ball in the back of the net. And I fear for Red Beard there on that miss. Just kind of skies the ball, because that's a bad touch. Yeah, so it's not the worst idea. Recognizing going to try and keep it down. Just probably actually needs a second jump if you're going to like pre-jump like that. Just because like you're still going to hit it down. You're not going to have the height on your car to keep it down. So good solid clear there. I spoke with TBT after the match. They said they just wanted to keep attacking, not change their game up, even at this victory margin. There's two ways you can attack it. Just keep playing your game, put the pressure on. You may hear me on broadcast saying, get those stats. Go for those awards. What am I doing? Why am I fighting an online match? Or you can kind of back off, just like you know approach it from like the only way we're actually going to lose this match is if we like do really stupid things, which sometimes happens when you keep your foot on the gas. So it's just like recognizing what your team can and can't do. So there's the double commit that actually ended up working out, but no. Yeah, that's again, someone should just, one of those two people should call the other off. Slightly aggressive challenge, but not the worst. So, oh, I was on Tiesto. Okay, so, okay. So I completely understand the pre-jump. It's entirely possible Redbeard had just guessed a little wrong here. So let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, and so we're actually watching from like Redbearder's perspective here. Okay. So again, this is like the common mistake is really trying to figure out what to do with it off the wall. Again, as someone who screws this up way more often than they probably should. But so Redbearded just basically misreads this ball off the wall. Um, here's the thing. This ball is not. This ball is a very, very, very small chance of getting to where Redbeard is at. It's really going to do one of two things. What it's doing here, or it's going to kind of like, well, three things probably. It could hit the lip and bounce like higher and up. It could like bounce right in front of the wall and kind of like sort of go up the wall, but it'll be high. Or do this and it just comes straight out. Um, so I'm trying to think of what I can actually recommend here. So Redbeard here then ends up again. We're seeing this from this kind of pre-jumps the shot. Um, and then just takes a guess on how to flip their car. Kind of misses it. Um, but um, as you can kind of see, and again, this is just in part of just trying to get like positional awareness on the field, and all that. Like you could see from here, Redbeard just basically now flips away from the goal, and the whole goal's open. So like it's here I am trying to pick apart a diamond. Um, it's really tough to say like what the move is. It probably should be um, just attack that ball off the wall. If not, like because this ball comes out on a pinch, doesn't it? Ah, okay, yeah. So probably the best thing that Redbeard could have done here is actually probably just start moving back ahead of time. Again, we're looking at this through staring at this replay for 5 minutes or whatever this section. But really, the ideal solution is just go back because your teammate, again, if they're calling, is going to challenge that based on what happened. So just be ready, And I understand cheating up, but like it's actually kind of disastrous if the challenge is won, especially because in this case blue is the one with the ball. So if you miss, then suddenly you're up. You could be up way too far. Um, and then I probably think the best result here is just play it off the wall. Because it looks like a lot of the players are kind of like pre-jumping, like flipping in, or just trying to get a nice, good touch on the ball. So I think just like trying to do it here, because, and maybe that's what they were trying to do, and because of the misread, just didn't know what to do. Um, just because obviously like this, this is, I guess in the sliding scale of equity, like this is like a 1% save, and maybe your hit was like 10%. So again, it's just those things, and you should always strive to make the correct decision, even if it turns out bad. So if I remember the stat line from this match, and I know I'm kind of giving it away, Claytonwood unfortunately had no shots. Okay, so I've got to hammer on these double commits. Okay. So Mr. Pink should have called or throw off. Mr. P- like this is again, you get this through time, you get this as you advance. It's just that Urfo's not going to have a really good touch here, and Mr. Pink, technically has more options. Um, just because of the way he attacks the ball, like Mr. Pink could actually, steer in this and actually direct a shot on net. Um, Whereas Urfo's got maybe a 1% shot at net, probably the best chances to bang off the wall to get a shot on net. Um, the other problem here is that at this point, Redbearded has to back off this ball. Like, even if they are trying to chase it. And, it's just, this is just really, really bad. Yeah. And, like, at this point, this has to be a communication because like Redbeard is technically in front of this ball, so they're going to peel off to the side. Now at this point, Redbearded sees both their teammates, and like again, this is probably just pervasive at the lower levels where it's just like hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball. But like, the good play is that Redbeard either needs to be going up the field or now at this point just rotating behind. Um, and they actually kind of finally peel off, but like, and that ball's probably going to the right side. But I mean, at this point, there's not much Redbeard can do. And again, it's kind of like on the Claytonwood teammates that double committed to like call each other off as well. So that was just like that was kind of super disastrous. Because like it could have been a good attacking opportunity for Claytonwood. That should have been put away. So what happened here? Okay. So again, just the teaching moment. Like Mr. Pink's attempt from game one, Urfo is just carrying way too much speed. Um, so yeah, and just kind of ends up hitting off to the side. Like that's, I say that like this should be in the back of the net, and like probably See, Urfo overcorrects for what could be a theoretical hit, you know, which it does kind of come out here, but it's yeah, like again, looking at this through hindsight, Red Bearded was probably not going to pound that ball, so Urfo kind of needed to slow down, just so they could line up with the ball and have the best shot possible. Instead, like as we see here, Urfo carries way too much speed. Like, like it's like, well, that net is still technically open, but like they're carrying a ton of momentum. Probably need to, flip roll to the right just so you can try and get that ball on target. Instead, just because it happens, bang, 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 not much comes of it. It's a wide shot. But that was a huge chance for Claytonwood, and I feel that they should have put that in. Um, oh, okay. We'll see. We'll see what. We'll message Roy real quick. Ah! This is great because this is going up while I'm doing this. I was fortunate enough to cast with Roy. Very good caster. I believe he's actually the one that does a lot of the work for TBT, so this is just kind of like a side hustle for me. Okay. So I wanted to call this out because I thought Morty was doing something cheeky, which is fine. But this is kind of similar to something Morty did earlier, and just kind of like pre-jumping the heck out of this ball. I think this has again more to do with just trying to be comfortable in the rank. But Morty had plenty of time to get this ball. Like there's no one there, and probably what I'm assuming is Morty did all this because I thought Urfa was going to attack the ball. Urfa doesn't attack the ball. Morty misses, and like this, again, this doesn't turn out to be too disastrous. This ball actually goes the other way. So that's a case of like where stuff works out, but like, the highlight, you shouldn't flail around just because your team got the ball down the field. That's a nice follow-up from Blue Moon. Probably could just, the only critique I would have is just probably could just spin back a little bit more. Um, So yeah, apologies as I chat with people in the middle. Yeah, my only complaint with Blue Moon is just could have been slightly back, but nothing really to argue there. Ah, okay. Claytonwood, obviously, you can see from the replay that Claytonwood does score. So, I think Blue Moon. Yeah, okay. This happens all the time. Like, you just think you're going to get a different touch on it. Um, and next thing you know, the ball's in the back of your net. Um, so probably what is my suggestion here? Um, okay, I want to actually take a look around Blue Moon. Um, actually, this is good enough. Okay, like I could theoretically think that based from what we saw in Blue Moon, that Blue Moon thought that Redbearded was around. Um, so kind of priced in a little bit hastier action. I mean, if they're trying to steer to the side immediately, probably Blue Moon could just like flipped into it. Just kind of settle it, and that'll help push it off to the side. Um, I'm just trying to look for suggestions. Like everything's there, um, but just like kind of a bad touch. Again, that's going to happen. Again, I'm just trying to think of a better way to actually attack that ball. Speaking from hindsight and being able to look at things the same 5-10 seconds 30 times. I just kind of like want to see that how that play develops. Okay, no, there's nothing wrong there. Yeah, so Tiesto just kind of misreads this out of the corner. Yeah, obviously like the recommendation there is just just break and wait to see what happens. Because if they broke, they could still double jump and try and get on that ball. It's kind of a really excuse me. It's an awkward read coming out of the corner and based on where Tiesto landed. That's a dangerous touch based on the challenge. Tiesto is kind of priced into that, but like there's a chance that ball could have been in the back of the net. So again, kind of the dangers of the near post rotation, even if you're going for boost, is if you miss, there's not a lot you can really do. Oh, my foot. So don't panic. There'll be plenty of time for that later. Just, it's the panic defense. Again, it's hard to control, but, you just communicate to say, got, mine, whatever. And then, as with everything, just trust that your teammate's going to get it. That's a nice second touch by Tiesto, reading the rebound, just sneaking around the defender. So some thoughts going into Game 3. Again, we see the replays every time. We know what the result is. But going into S, basically my call out was that I think Claytonwood, they just had to attack more. TBT had, had majority of the attacking possession. You know, whatever, 4-1, 5-1 result. We can pause this and take a look at the scores. Yeah, so 2-5-1 results. Like, never say never, but TBT looked like they could probably win if they scored 3 goals. So Claytonwood I felt like they needed to figure out some way to just attack more. Like, I think this is actually kind of... Okay. And any time I see a defensive colored trail when the ball's going and the ball's heading towards the net, at least the wall, I have to retake a look at it just to make sure. I'm not necessarily against that touch. I thought that was fine. Blue Moon's initial touch was a little weird, but Morty trying for the pop is more than perfectly acceptable. I could not figure this out in the replay. So... Okay. So that comes off Mr. Pink. Why does it come off Mr. Pink? Just a misread. Okay. That's gonna happen too. And also just to call it on Redberry, I know it's hard to do. Again, because I do it and I, panic sometimes. Because you see your teammate there on the far post. Don't try and avoid flying across the net like that. Like, that's a case of just like, I'm gonna trust that my teammate on each post is playing the ball. That's a good demo play right there. Yeah, see, this should have been... Someone should have been called off here. Yeah. Also, I should say that I know Claytonwood was on some sort of console. So, they were using PlayStations, Xboxes, or their phones for comms. But someone should have just been called off here. I don't actually know who has the better touch there, but someone should have just called for it. And whoever didn't call for it should have backed off. I think Blue Moon was doing a lot of the demos, and I like their demo play. That's a nice pass out in the middle. So, just curious as to what happened. Because that's a good pass out in the middle. Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to fault Urfo's judgment there. Um, just tried to get to as quickly as possible. Wasn't the optimal line, but I think that if you want to get the ball, that's the correct decision to make. You know, um, they obviously didn't, but I understand it. So I just wanted to see what actually happened. Yeah, that just kind of floated in there, didn't it? And just again, just to kind of highlight, Urfa's just a little off the line here on the challenge. You know, for I say for whatever reason, but let's just take a look. Opt is part of the circle. Yep. Just gets there just a tad bit late. And Tiesto just puts it in over everyone. And backward saves are the hardest, and that's just like a lot of there's Blue Moon again with that delayed kickoff. That's as good as a fake. But on the backward save, that a lot of that part of that actually comes down to awareness. Is that you got to know actually when to just like stop, you know, do the quick aerial double jump, just so that you can get enough height to block it. That way you can also kill all your momentum. Um, it's a really tough art. That's close. That could have. I mean, that obviously could have been in. Long field clears are tough to put in. This is a guy who can't put it, you know, can't put the ball in the net. That's a nice play there. God dang it. Ribeiro just keeps it in. I think that second touch actually messed things up. See, that's, you know. Again, the critique I would have there is Mr. Pink kind of just came a little bit too much in. Um, you know, so there was a chance to miss the ball again. It's more like come from the side earlier rather than make the cut to the ball. You know, that way again, you just, you know, let's like they should sort of be ready, like kind of moving side to side now, which they do. You just again, it's you know, it's you know, this goes into little things, but you know, because they attacked it more from the side, but if they kind of moved laterally and then came straight on, you know, instead of having like this half the net on the left side, you know, like the post could be lined up, you know, past the middle of the screen. The near post here could be, you know, more to the right. You just have more net to shoot at. It was more than enough, and I'm nitpicking, but let's rewind to the face-off. Mr. Pink should just continue rotating around. What's like it just that's just a rotation cut, so that's always pretty bad. So you just want to avoid doing that because it leads to those double commits. So I actually like this pass play. So let's get to Redbearded. So I just kind of... Okay. Yeah, like... I see everything. So... I'm not sure if there's anything that they could have done better here. Probably Mr. Pink just needs to be closer to the middle. Rather than far side. But I can see... I mean, let me just make sure on this. How am I looking at this with hindsight based on what happens? No, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that gets hit down by TBT. Herfro challenges. Okay. Yeah, because if that ball comes around, Mr. Pink needs to be there. Okay. Probably the thing is like with just a lot of these plays is avoid that creeping up. Because Mr. Pink ends up making a circle here. Kind of has to lay off. Doesn't get a good touch on the ball. Again, just trying to work through that and just see like, was everything there correct? The initial yes, but I think as a result of creeping up, Mr. Pink inadvertently couldn't get the best touch on the pass. Wow. So I mean, TBT scores late. Okay. What could Urfo have done differently here? Ah. I wonder if that's the result of the tooltip. What's the tooltip? Flipping into the ball before you hit it puts more power on it. That is absolutely true. It's a terrible tooltip because it's actually you have to do it in in that split second. So what Urfo was trying to do was obviously put some power on that by flipping into it. Instead, just kind of mishits it. And ends up going high. Actually, probably based on their angle, that was going straight into Tiesto. Yeah, that was probably going straight into Tiesto. That's going to be something that, yeah, assuming I'm reading that comment, Tiesto did, yeah. I'm glad we arrived at the same conclusion. Yeah, you need to be higher up to flip into that, just so you can flip nose into it because that's where the power is going to be. Instead, end up hitting it with the roof. It's a good change up, but like Tiesto could probably get, based on the hit, regardless of placement, Tiesto could probably get to that ball. Yeah. It's why Tiesto's making comments, so the first comment was need to be higher on that ball if you want to flip it that one. And then, yeah, power volleys are great, but they are hard to execute on shots due to placement and car hit position. And that's why I rail against the tooltip, because that is like one of the worst tooltips. Basically, a lot of ranks can see because you just interpret it the wrong way. Um, yeah, air roll to the right and then corner flip to the ball. Might be able to go back post. Um, that's a shot Diamonds can pull off. So I'm not disagreeing with that. Um, Honestly, I probably wish would have. If it was me taking this shot, I probably would just double jump boosted in the ball. Um, and try and place it with the front of my car, which probably means I'd be hitting crossbar or post if I was lucky. Um, Actually, right now, kind of my preferred shot is actually to bounce the ball to mess up the defense. Yeah, yeah. Tiesto says that would be good to try to make the keeper make a save or place it well. Yeah, because ignoring the two blue blips on the replay here, um, this game is super close right now. And, and if we just want to do the snapshot, we kind of like want to do the snapshot here of everything. So right before the hit. So Morty is out. Blue Moon can't get that ball, so they're going to try and rotate. Tiesto's in net. So it's really one-on-one. We'll save the critique on Blue Moon's rotation here. Blue Moon is going to have a difficult time trying to save something here. So, and this is a continuation of placement. So, again, Urfel gets a really bad touch, and I really hate to criticize here. Even diamond levels, because this is, well, hey, this is the title of the series now. What are you doing wrong? But it's like even if Urfel can't score or don't think they could score, one of the best things to do, like if you miss, around the post area, that's fine. But you kind of got to make Tiesto go up for that ball. And you can kind of see out midfield, Mr. Pink can actually come in, which you're sort of doing. So probably through a combination here of great read by Tiesto to note that ball's going high. It was I would suspect, obviously Tiesto's in chat. Tiesto was waiting for the hit, perfectly fine. Saw that was going high, so didn't need to go up. Based on the hit. Yeah. Another option for Urfo would be a more slow controlled touch to the backboard. Yeah, the thing here is to try and get Tiesto to go up. I actually kind of like bouncing the ball here too. And that's kind of some next level play there. But my thought is, if you bounce, and this is like, bouncing the ball to get it in underneath the crossbar on the shot. The thought is, you're Tiesto, since you're here, you would probably read that shot and try and make a save, which accomplishes goal number one, is get the keeper to do something. And again, I can't put yeah, okay. So I got that going for me. I can guess what would happen. So the reason why I like bouncing it here, actually, and it's really hard to do, and even like hard to do in the moment. One, it's just going to get Tiesto, the keeper, to make a play. Also, generally, what I see happen, which is good for Claytonwood, bad for TBT, is that Blue Moon might inadvertently get involved in the play. Because you can kind of see like how they've actually rotated in. If that ball comes in, even with the same speed, Blue Moon might be like, well, I need to like try and go up and try and actually push that ball up. And that kind of entices two different people to go there. Now, like, the end result could be is that the ball still ends up being saved, but like, if you're Claytonwood, that's irrelevant. Like, the goal is to try and get the net open because it's a 2-1 game. And actually, as weird as it sounds, doing the bounce, try and bounce it in, is actually probably the best play because it might draw 2 people. And we can kind of see here is that Morty's going to come in from the far post. Redbeard is going to cover probably another rebound attempt. So I do kind of like. I think I do like kind of bouncing it in there. I think though, regardless of what the ultimate uber correct play is that the problem with this whole play, Urfo just put in a bad space with no pace on it, and the ball, the hit just caused the keeper to stay on the ground. So with that, we'll rewind it a little bit, get back into it. Yeah, so you can actually, continuing the play a little bit, just focusing on Blue Moon. Blue Moon kind of chased that a little bit. I can understand why, just because Tiesto's doing all that reading, and probably Blue Moon's not sure if Tiesto's actually going to get there, but I mean, like, I feel like just because of what I see here, it supports my bounce theory. All right, so yeah. Okay, let's. Well, so here's our 15-minute deep dive. Yeah, they had 16 boost afterwards. Along the lines of next level, once Urfo realized that they had missed the net, they should have used that all 16 and make a run, as they say. Nah. Should have tried to run into you. Yeah. We're commenting on like Urfo's boost levels. 16 after the hit. Yeah. I shouldn't have been as cryptic since people are here. Urfo should have made a run at Tiesto. After they noticed they missed. Use that boost, get into them. I don't know if it would have gotten the demo, but a bump would have cleared the way, because, like... Now, granted... I don't have any issue with this shot. They're running out of time. Mr. Pink is priced in this hit. It's actually a pretty decent hit. Like, good read and everything. So, how are we going to do this? We're going to go ball cam? Or fly by the ball? Yeah, let's get on the ball. So now we get to do something very rare. Okay, so let's hypothetically say Tiesto's down. So Tiesto's not going to get up for this ball. Urfo probably would be back just a little bit due to momentum lost. So, like, again, like, theoretically, based on now we're going super deep on this. Urfo actually probably could have hit Morty here too. Like, going from trying to demo or bump Tiesto rotate out, hit Morty. That would have left Blue Moon to make the save in position that they were. This is assuming everybody lands up where they are, and I'm like extrapolating everything correctly. It's entirely possible that TBT could have run into each other. So that's again, we can analyze this all this once. It's very hard to make the decision in at game speed. So we're just it's just kind of like basically taking the event, what could have happened, just trying to extrapolate and cascade everything. Because I mean, obviously there's 3 TBT people in net, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I don't think Morty should have been up, but hey. And that's a nice clear by Tiesto to the side, I should add. So Mr. Pink misplays it. So we move from that. So I just want to see what Urfro was doing. So Urfro grabs a boost. Okay. So yeah. I think Urfro should have gone back here. Here's the thing. If Tiesto misses, I don't know what Redbeard is going to do, and Blue Moon could get the ball. But this is basically no man's land because Tiesto's charging that ball. Yeah. Hey, the last 30 seconds of this match is brought to you by the NFL and the NBA. But this is a really bad position. Now I get it. Down and distance is dictating some of this too, so I can understand why Urfro is doing this. Because if Tiesto misses, there's a chance this ball could end up in the back of the net. But this is definitely a case of the 5% play. This is why I would be going back. The reason why is, granted, I'm saying like Champ 1, Champ 2s don't miss the ball most of the time. But there's a very low probability that the ball is actually going to be missed one way or another. If you're rotating back, you've got most of the scenarios covered. Tiesto puts it on net. Tiesto puts it in either corner. Tiesto gets a light touch on it. Like, that's actually the best play for TBT if this is like being done properly, because that ball just kind of like drops down. Redbeard is probably going to escape by it. Mr. Pink is out there probably rotating far side, and all that. So, yeah, and like Bucks is commenting, Urfro needs to jump like right now, and that's true too. And like instead, this is what happens. And Morty actually gets the goal theft. Again, I'm not necessarily faulting the decision because you're making, snap decisions. And it's like, we are down, we need this ball. But again, the hindsight and analysis and all that other BS, they actually have a better chance as if they can make a play. Because, like, yeah, and what changes it? What is speed? Oh, okay, yeah. Let's do this. Okay. So, grabs the boost. Like we did that at slow-mo, and that's where I think like where Urfo needs to be up. And I don't think Urfo is going to get that ball. Urfo's not even lined up. Yeah. Yeah, Buck says he was in a bad spot, would have got bait regardless, yeah. Which is actually why I think Urfo should have just continued to go back. Because you kept going back, read the ball. You had a chance on Morty. And because of where everyone was at, you could set the ball. Yeah. Just need to get all the way back in the situation. Yeah, just get back. Yeah, I think just get back. Actually, cut it off the wall. Um, because I think like Urfo probably has a good chance to actually send that ball upfield. Um, cause like this is wow, we're going really deep here. Um, cause like I don't know what Blue Moon and Mr. Pink would have done, but like based on that, like Mr. Pink would have cut Blue Moon, probably trying to turn upfield. Like they could have run into each other. No, that was a great hit, Tiesto. Um, so Urfo sent it upfield, got the ball, or Redbearded could have cut earlier as a result of the ball going upfield. They would have had one less chance on net. Um, so there's just like a lot there. Again, we're all hindsight and everything, but it's just like I think they could have done that and like had a reasonable chance. And one for the road. So, lot of stuff to unpack there too. Um, I'm also trying to be, trying to be nice, trying to remember what it was to be like in Diamond and all that, because like the decision making is just different. Also it's just a different speed. It's a little bit slower and all that. Same thing with the decision making. Um, but with all this, what I'm hoping to do is just like illustrate, see like this is my reasoning, and like again, I'm trying to like also put myself in there, which is why I'm like, yeah, I can understand why that happened that way. But then also just kind of like provide the insight of like, hey, if you want to move up, or if you want to learn like the next play stuff, it's like, this is actually what should happen. Like with mechanics, you can practice that all the time in free play. You can just do a ton of that. The hardest stuff to learn is all the mental stuff, positioning, like actual reads. You can only do so much in free play when you have all the time in the world. Um, game sense, comms, just all that. One of the best advice for comms is uh, use comms when you're solo queuing. You don't have to use the in game, but act like you're doing that. But yeah, so like again with all this is what I'm hoping to do is just provide a little illumination, um, provide my thought process and just like what I would attempt to be doing here, and then trying to reapply it to the rank. And we only the biggest part there was the end of the game. We did a massive deep dive. There wasn't, a lot of this was just, a lot of the stuff I critiqued is just like basically the same stuff over and over again. But I just like think it helps to explain, like, again, hey, this is why you're doing it wrong. And this is kind of like the cascading effect of everything. The big example was in game two, that double commit that led to the TBT goal. This is an offensive double commit from Claytonwood, and the ball just ended up in the back. It's actually a pretty sweet sequence on TBT's counterattack, because it was demo the guy, the third person back, and then go sweep up the guy coming in from the far side. But, I think finding these deep dives are pretty helpful because it's also kind of illuminating for me as well. Um, so with that, um, I know Tiesto's around. I know Bucks is around. Um, any questions? Should I hop over into somebody's Discord for some post game thoughts or additional thoughts, I should say? I can check. Because I'd be more than happy to continue a conversation too. And catch it on stream. What happened here?
Hello, hello. I was
Testo!
Yes, I was watching the analysis, and I saw that you were looking for me. What's up?
Oh, I was just like, do you have anything to add?
Sorry. Yeah. So I was as soon as you said as soon as you were saying that, there was a bunch of conversation happening in my Discord while I was on, and I was like, I didn't hear what he said, and I literally almost typed a message in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest one of the biggest things that I was noticing it was space. It definitely and that I think obviously space comes down to a few different things. It comes down to game speed. It comes down to rotations in game sense, right? There's two separate pieces to that.
Yeah.
But it definitely I felt and I know my teammates also felt that there was quite a bit of space given, especially around the midfield. It didn't feel like there was quite as much midfield contention. To be honest, I mean their defense was quite good. We did score quite a bit, but most games I think we had 11 shots, and they would have 5 to 6 saves, which is good. And obviously you can only withstand that much pressure,
right? Yes.
Until you kind of panic and then break, right? Because everybody has their threshold, and that's why sieges are so effective, right? They use them even in the pros. The most seasoned professionals have issues against the siege. You start running low on boost, and all these other things start to happen. Bumps and demos start to come in, and yeah. So I think it was, to me, it was midfield space was the biggest piece for us, and that's why we were able to keep them on their end so much. Was once they got the clear, it pretty much usually got to midfield. If it got further, we had the person back for that, right? And we could usually push it. But if it just got to midfield, that's kind of where we once we realized that they were usually clearing to midfield, but then they didn't have a follow-up very quickly, that was where we were living.
Yeah.
And so if I had a note, I would say, a lot of it is for Claytonwood, it's push the ball up, up that edge, right? It's always fine to push it up that corner, but then there's got to be a guy cutting down that side. Cutting down the middle right if the ball's on the right wall, the middle left if the ball's on the left wall.
Yeah.
So that guy on the wall can then hit it down to that guy, and that guy can bang it or control it, right?
Yeah.
It was just basically the fact that the ball was either squeaking out to center or might be a big high one, but it was still coming to center. That was the type of stuff that was that I was noticing at the very least.
Yeah, and I think part of it also just becomes is that player again. I'm not trying to crap on diamonds, but not necessarily have completely mastered hitting the ball. Anybody can flip into the ball, sure. But I don't. I think part of the issue is that to get those hard clears, you have to hit the ball. And yes, if you can't hit the ball, that's the best way to just break a siege, get relief, and get recharge, and then I hate to say figure your life out, but figure out how you're going to stop them again.
Right, exactly.
And you could easily, obviously, just stop them cold in their tracks. But I do sort of agree, and I think again. I want to also avoid crapping on the other team because that's
definitely not.
That's definitely not what I do. But I felt obviously, result aside, there was obviously an advantage for your side, but I did feel there was definitely a couple of panics and more double commits, and I think that's
Yeah,
like
I noticed that too.
and I think that like
And that
plays
seems
it.
like a calm. That seems like a calm thing.
Yeah, and I think that
Um,
just also like plays then into like getting the ball out. Like that's the
hmm
difference between,
hmm
yeah, sure, I cleared it to midfield, but that's why no one's following, is because
Right.
we double committed or something. So like the
That's right.
third, because I even find myself doing this when I see my teammates do something stupid. It's like, well, I have two options here. I can go after this ball, but if I miss it, like that ball's probably that at champ two, that ball's probably in the back of the net, so I have to stay
Yep.
back, and prepare. And it's just like that ball may necessarily not be in the back of the net at Diamond, but you know, I actually think
Yeah.
like
I
the
mean,
bigger risk is what if I actually miss it?
definitely some of the players in this league, though. Yeah, they would punish. I mean, like some players that come to mind for me: Sir Normac on Seattle Supersonics, Little Scribs on Sea Turtle Academy or Seattle Turtle Academy, whatever that team's name is. Um, Two very very good players who did punish us in that exact same situation a lot of times. And yeah, I think with calms, like if there are times of silence, if there's times of like no one talking on the line, I think that's something to evaluate, especially in threes. Sometimes that'll happen in twos, but maybe for like a half of a second or a full second. You really want, like, it's almost kind of like a radio broadcast, like you don't want a second of dead air. Like trying to make sure that you fill all of that, make sure that there's any comms that you can, because if there's silence, then that means that something else could be being conveyed. For instance, this person is hitting the ball. We've already seen that this person hits the ball, like, or has tendencies to do this type of thing. So let's go ahead and prepare for that kind of a thing. Like the pros do it all the time. If you watch the NRG versus Vitality series at the end of last World Championship, you hear NRG calling out, that's Fairy, that's KDOP, that's Scrub, right? And they're basically, what they're saying is like, we know what this guy's tendencies are to do with the ball, so in his capabilities, right? And so like prepare for that type of thing. So there's all kinds of things you can fill in. I think the other thing is, and you mentioned it, is anybody can flip into the ball, but it's a lot of it when you're on defense is those power volleys, right? Those power clears,
Yeah,
not necessarily off the back wall, but off the ground. I mean, there are people who are doing off the back wall at this rank, not super consistently. I'm still just figuring it out. But those power clears off the ground are massively important. If you can get your hands on the ball that's just hit the ground, and just slam that thing, it buys your team time to get boost, even if it's just pads, something, right? And it buys you time. It relieves that pressure. It lets everybody's mental reset, because it doesn't take super long to get everything back together after a high stress, 30-second, 45-second siege. It really takes like 5, 6, 7 seconds to then gear up again. So yeah, that was another piece. I have a lot of respect for this team. They beat one of the teams that we found pretty hard this season, actually. And I was ready to gear up for this game, and I think that's why we came out as hard as we did. We try not to take anyone for granted, but obviously that's something that you can kind of fall into, like, into that lull of like, oh, we've got this, right? But like, this was a team that we took very, very seriously. And I felt like we played like that. Um,
I
in the
love
playoffs too.
I love. By the way, um, if anybody above me in BBC is watching this, what Tiesto said is what I've been yelling at everyone for. No, I I love hearing that because it's like I think one is a I mean we've let you in on the joke. Like the joke is no BBC, well, no Grand
No
Champ
sweeps,
team.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no Grand Champ team could sweep.
Yeah. Right.
They're the 3-1s. They lose in one. They normally lose in two places. They lose in game one, and because whatever they're cold or whatever, or they lose in game three.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's actually been very few times they've lost like game two.
Oh
Um,
wow, okay, that's good.
and you can see it, and like again I don't mind calling out the club captain for this, but like I'm playing like ranked with him. He's just like, yeah, I just don't respect this player. It's just like, why? It's just like it's just like you know it's like you should always expect people to do something. Let them prove that they can't do it, and then you can disrespect them. So it's just like,
Yeah,
and always just always go out, go
yeah.
full, like, play your game or whatever. Just don't. One of these days, I don't know if I've told this story on stream. One of these days, I have to tell. I have two very good letting foot off the gas stories, um, that are probably 20 years old.
Oh God,
But they're so relevant because it's just like,
absolutely.
this is just like, you just can't do it. You know you just can't, because if you have that moment in lats, the last thing you want to do is give a ray of hope. And again, like, I feel that the professional unquote way of approaching it is, you always have to respect your opponents no matter what.
Yes.
Again, if not, you lose to the 0-6 team in the playoffs, in round one.
Mm-hmm.
True story.
Yeah.
True story. Since you're here and I don't mind telling this real quick, the quick story on that is, um, it was a team that was essentially playing up. We had two champs on our team, our grand champs, but the rest were tier three, so champ one, champ two. It's just basically a season from hell, because we didn't have the right ranks of people, so
Mm.
we couldn't get away from basically two tier two teams.
Yeah.
Um, so we're just like, well, let's just, sure, we're acknowledging this team is going to be a lost season, but let's get some people who are on the bubble in Champ One, Champ Two some experience. And we actually had like a couple. We had like actually two 5-game series So it's like, it's not like we weren't playing bad, but we need both our champ two, our grand champs there. Yeah, we
Right.
go in the playoffs, and we steal it in game five. Like, I might actually have it clipped, the game winning goal. It might actually be on my Twitch. Um, and I'm not even sure if we were. I don't actually think we were playing with both our grand champs, because I think I remember who the two scrubs were. It was me and Intense, but yeah. So it's just like, you. That is why you always play. You always play at your at capacity or whatever.
Yeah.
And I apologize to everyone that the last 10 minutes of this video has devolved into that, but this is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. No, it's important. I mean, I think there's a lot of talk between respect and sportsmanship.
Yeah.
And I think sportsmanship is definitely important. GG's. Of course, in my games, I don't have GG for the other team because I don't have anything but team chat on. I don't care for the other part of that comes with the toxicity from being online, right? Um, but one thing, like, it's important to be sportsmanlike, but the ultimate sign of respect to me is I've been buried under 10-0 games, right? And those games are the games that make you better, and I respect the people that did that to me. Um, so my mindset, every game that I go into, is I want to bury the team under as many goals as I can, because I don't want them to be able to come back. I mean, I've lost games where I had 5-goal leads, right? So if I can get a 7-goal lead or a 10-goal lead, I'm gonna do that. Um, and we had a similar situation kind of happen. I believe it was against Supersonic Turtles Academy, actually. Um,
Was that the game where they went up
that was the
five
game where
nothing?
yeah, and then we came back, and I told them there was 3 minutes left, and we were down 5-0, and I said to everybody on the team, I said, all right, we may not win this game, but we're gonna put the fear of God into them. We're gonna score so many goals so quickly that they're gonna be scared for game two. And we lost that game 5-4, but it changed the entire mood of that series.
Because that
We
series
won game two,
that
we
series
won
went
game
five.
three,
That series went
they
five.
won game four, and then we won game five.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That was. Yeah. Oh God. I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's actually.
That's
That
why you
is.
never take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Even if you're can I curse in the stream?
Sure. Why not? I'm not.
Even if you're getting your ass kicked, you still put your foot on the gas like you're trying to bury your opponent. And that's important. It's important because, like, if if I was in Turtle's shoes in that situation, I would have been scared for game two. That was the idea. Was I was thinking, what would scare me in this situation? If they either beat us or if they almost beat us, and we almost beat them. I think at the end of that game too, there was one. I got a ball across to Morty, but it was just out of his reach, and he just couldn't put it in the goals. An open net, but he had just flipped down the field and was kind of facing the wrong way, and there was all kinds of things that happened. But yeah, that was a huge portion of that series. It completely changed momentum. The next game we just spanked them. Yeah, so that's big. Like like always keep your foot on the gas. You never ever let up. That's the best way to respect your opponent. Is if you show them that like you respect them so much that you're not willing to let them get out of the hole at the end. You know that means that you think that they can get out of that hole. If you don't respect them, it means that you can't, which then gives them the chance to do it. Right? I don't know. I think I have a similar ideology to you on this. But yeah, that's just my two cents.
I'm glad you're preaching to the choir here. But I know again. I'm really glad to hear it. Like it's I don't think it's it's just any disrespect. God, I'm probably gonna have to tell the story. Whatever. We gotta somehow make this 2 hours. All right, so I'm gonna tell the stories. Okay, so these are both back. Jesus, probably from the '90s, back when I was playing roller hockey. Um, I know the details for one, for the first one. The second one, I'm really foggy on the details, and I think I've probably changed it a couple times, so I'm not remembering it correctly. But I definitely know this one. So I am on I'm playing roller hockey like 2 or 3 nights a week because I'm
Okay.
freaking
I like
insane,
it.
really.
I like it.
um, also, I have a ton of free time because I don't have like anything close to a desk job. I
Gotcha.
do have 40 hours a week, but it's not anything
But it's
serious.
different than yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so the team I joined, I knew a couple people from there, and they actually like wanted me. One of them's just like some what two. I knew two of the people. One of them joined up with our roller hockey team. The other's my best friend's brother, and like I've known the brother for 10, 15 years at that point, something like that. I have to work out the math. Um, but then I knew his friend, who he knew from work and like all that. So they like, we got an open spot on our team. Come play with us. Like, sure, okay. Um, and like the background behind it is like I knew they were kind of good. Um, so this was like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. Suddenly I'm like at the top of the food chain
Yeah. Okay.
in a league, like because the team I'd been playing on, like I knew everybody. We were really good friends, but like we were like second tier. Like
Gotcha. It's more like a
the
casual type
yeah,
situation.
like
Or something? Yeah.
we were going to finish 4 teams to make the playoffs. We were going to finish fourth, and we were going to get crushed by the number one seed because
Okay.
we were the second tier.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were the 3 seed, and we get killed by the number two. So this was like, okay, like this is new and this is great. Um, so we kind of like own this league. Um, but probably like a third session, and like basically since we started, like we've at least gone back to back over a 3 month, 4 month session. So I think this is in like the third session, and we're playing just I wouldn't say a bottom feeder team, but it's like there's only really one team in the league that can even hope to hang with us,
Sure.
and they need to, be kind of dirty to do it. And that's a health story for later.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
but so like we also all these roller hockey leagues have the mercy rule, 10 goals. So surprisingly, I am not a fan of well, I don't mind the mercy rule, but I hate the mentality teams take to it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you could probably guess exactly where this is going. But we take a 9-0 lead early, like Like
Yeah, I
we're
can
not
see that.
even we're not even. God, how did we play 20-minute periods? Maybe we played 15. We probably played 15 just because like the games were an hour apart. Um, Maybe 16 depending. Um, but yeah, we take like a 9. We take a 9-0 lead early, like probably by very very early second. And like I've had this conversations because even my shitty Sunday team like can beat the crap out of like the bottom feeders from time to time. Um, so it's just like I've had this conversation numerous times, and they're just like, well, like I want to still play, and it's like all that. It's just like okay, so let's just put them away and then play anyways, because it doesn't matter if we're like doing a stick and puck session or we're just going through the motions in the middle of our game. I'd rather just get the secure victory now.
Yeah.
Well, next thing we know, to my huge dismay, we've got like 5 minutes to go and it's 9-9. Like
Wow.
we've let this team that has no business hanging around because everybody is fucking around. Like I'm legitimately trying to score, which is amazing for a defenseman, because I just want to go.
Yeah.
Is but now it's like well now I
Part
have
of the
to
bus.
yeah. So it's like well now I can't score because it's not going to put them away. And I think inexplicably they score a 10th goal.
Oh wow.
So it's like 3 minutes to go. And I want to say I'm pretty sure because at this point, like, we all know each other. I'm like, guys, do we really want to go down like this? Because we have some stupid sense of pride. We do somehow actually manage to turn around and we win 11-10.
Whew.
Um, Yeah, but it like that was actually like one of the scariest things. I think I have another one where we let off the gas. Um, it didn't get quite that bad. Well, I mean, it got like 9-8, and I was just like, okay, we're done fucking around. But
Yeah.
it's like it goes into that whole sense. It's just like, well, now you're just like coasting the entire game. How are you gonna turn it back on? I think I have like a actually have like a something similar to that where uh for the context for roller hockey, it's 4-4. Um, I have this not quite cute underdog one, but we have 5 skaters show up against the number one team in the league.
Oh wow.
So it doesn't count the keeper, of course.
Sure. Sure.
So my friend, the brother of my best friend, and we basically sit for like 30 seconds and we somehow drag our shitty team to a 1 goal loss, like against the best team in the league, and
Right.
like they're actually like trying, like they're not like fucking around.
Right.
So and we go through this. I'm going through this whole big winded spiel to support my point is, guys, just play to your fullest, and don't screw around.
Yeah, man.
You
I
know?
mean, in you spent a lot of time on that Urfo replay, right? That game three, 21 seconds left, 2-1. Urfo's got a shot, right?
Yeah.
And it there's a couple of things that go into that. I mean, obviously Urfo has a scoring opportunity, but I would say like had that happened at like 4 minutes and 23 seconds or like left in the game, you maybe spend 30 seconds on that rather than like whatever the 8 or 9 minutes that we spent, right?
Yeah.
It is the importance of that moment, um in that changes the game from a 2-1 to a 2-2. It
Right.
also means that we don't go down the field and pop it off the wall and then get a doink goal, right?
Right.
um
Yeah,
which
we don't spend another 5 minutes analyzing how to stop that doink goal.
Right, exactly, right. And so all these things kind of play into each other, but at that moment in time, I remember when I was sitting online. It's fresh, obviously, it was yesterday. I remember I was sitting on the line and I saw Urfa go up for that, and I'm in the back of my mind and thinking, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I am not going to be able to cover the back post. I see Moon coming, but I'm not going to be able to cover the back post. So all I've got is the front post, and then hit that over, and then that was like, okay, front post rotate. I thought Moon was going to keep going, but came into the front post with me, so we got a little bit crazy there, and then obviously Morty and I went up at the same time, but we're able to push it, and it all worked out. But like
Oh,
it's
quick addendum to that again to
yes.
anybody listening. Just because it worked out does not mean that the correct decision was
Oh,
made.
no, it was not
No,
about correct decision. No,
well,
no, no, no,
I should
absolutely
say,
not.
correct decisions made all around.
Correct.
As
Yes.
we analyzed, I said that was Tiesto's ball. I
There's
could,
all yeah. There's always ways to, like, even when you score goals, there's always ways to improve your play.
yeah,
You can even really get down into the nitty gritty and be like, well, I got this, like, he was on the near post and I got it top upper 90 near post, but had I gone at this angle when I jumped and then air rolled this way and then maybe used my front flip or a corner flip creatively, I could have put it on the far side upper 90.
well,
And that kind of stuff is important.
actually, I kind of did that. Actually, in this game three, Mr. Pink's
Yeah.
goal.
Yes,
You know,
exactly. Yeah, when
it,
he came in a little too fast. He would have taken a little bit slower. He could have gotten a much better angle on it.
yeah, and he could add just like the cut and all that. And I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of this is made with the benefit of hindsight, and I
Absolutely,
can take
absolutely.
a look down at it. So like again for everyone listening and watching, and I'm still surprised I got 5 viewers, although I know two of them at least. The two people yapping their mouths off, but like it again like when I, as I said, when I go through this, I'm trying to analyze just like this is what you can actually do better, and I'm not necessarily, hopefully, not trying to fault, unless I think that something is actually the incorrect decision. So yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
again going to the sequence. It's like it's again using that last sequence is that all this stuff, and boy did we do the deep dive. It's that
Yes.
it all starts. The point it actually starts is the shot attempt, the shot on net, or in this case, the missed shot attempt, you know, and just like kind of how that actually affects everything, and then you can like see like all the micro decisions and all that, and just like all these little things. It's just like yeah, you still okay, you technically chose the wrong choice, but this is still like how you can improve. And not only that, because of the missed shot, this is actually what you can do to improve the current result as a way too. We hashed out in chat. It's like Urfo should have like boosted into you and tried for a bump play or a demo or something
Right.
to throw off everything. So it's just like yeah, you obviously can't change what happened, but this is how we can this is how we can improve the decision making process, and this is what we think is should actually be the right decision process.
Absolutely. I mean, like when
This is why I
like
love doing this.
yeah, and obviously, um, Roy messaged you during your analysis, right?
Yeah,
He sent you that invite and everything, and you mentioned, as you mentioned, he's our coach, right?
yeah,
We're normally, like, every week we go through our replays with him, sit down, really dig through it. It's usually like, yeah, it's usually about 2 to 2.5 hours, um, and we analyze our goals just as much as we analyze our shots on goal, like, because it's important to realize that just because you got it in didn't doesn't mean that you did the correct play. Like,
right,
it could be that you go up earlier, it could be that you take a different angle, it could be an air roll, or maybe you use your double jump instead of trying to use your flip, or it could be use your flip instead of trying to use your double jump, or it could be that you don't go up at all because you don't have a chance for it. Like, it could also be, that, like, comms could be messed up, right? That happens a lot on centered balls and threes, right? Two people are up in the air, um, for a double commit, which is always deadly. Um, so yeah, all these different things. It's like, and we get very nitty gritty. It's okay. So kickoff happens, right? Every single person's being evaluated. who flipped to their boost, like who's going to a side boost, and who flipped to it, and who was corner flipping, and who was fast starting, and were they fast starting correctly? Did they take the right angle? All of these things are good. Even if you won the kickoff, or even if you got, obviously you're going to get the boost, but like even if you got the boost pretty quickly, did you do it as efficiently as possible? And that as efficiently as possible mindset is what really drives progress and growth forward, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that mindset of like I am going to try to internalize this stuff constantly over and over and over and over and over again until I do it all the time. And that's what makes you better as a player ultimately. Yeah, I mean, again, I just want to say, I GG. I'm gonna jump off here pretty soon, but GG to Claytonwood again. They played a heck of a game. Yeah, like their defense was a lot more solid than this game gave them credit for. Like their half field defense, because they were stuck on their half for the majority of the game. The biggest thing was they just couldn't get clears. You
Yeah.
know, like their wall, they had good challenges in the corners. They had some guys on the wall. They had decent saves in front of goal. It was just the clears were the big problem. If they could have gotten a couple of bangers down to our side, because we were pushed way far up, and if they could have gotten like a nice power volley down to our end, they could have scored off of that, or at least set up an offensive play, right? So,
I
I
think.
mean, yeah,
Yeah. No. No. And also, I would just like to say for both teams, um, as we now approach to our marquee, jokingly says, like in all seriousness, I mean, even though this was 3 games, I would like to say that from both teams, the fact that I there wasn't like really a lot to pick apart. I was just like, it was more like, oh yeah, that happened, but that wasn't like anything egregious, or it's like,
yeah,
okay, like that wasn't like too costly. The fact that in part because it's like, well, like I've covered the essence of a double commit before, but it's like,
right,
even though I kind of did a couple times here, but it's just like the fact that really both teams did not commit too many like just blatant egregious errors, and it really was, and like some of this actually was a breakdown of like, okay, this is what is going on here, and let's take a look at the decision process, and like actually let's look at and see how we could make this, how we could have made this better. I think it just, again, I think it speaks volumes to just both teams at this rank, that there just weren't like that many just like woof, errors and that sort of thing.
right.
Despite the fact that Claytonwood was, you know, stuck in their defensive halves, the big thing that if they're watching or they come back to this video and they see is just like,
And I'm
work
going
on
I'm
work
going
on
to
your
up on
clears.
YouTube. I will recommend that they watch, because I think it would be helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will recommend if they want to. But yeah, continue though. Sorry.
No, no, I was just saying is that I think, again, not trying to crap on Diamonds. I think all things considered, like I think both sides played great. There was an attacking advantage, but I think ultimately it's just for Claytonwood, work on the defensive just clears, and just making sure that you get a good solid clear, or if you clear, there's a follow up, so that you can break that siege, just so you're not on that. And again, they beat one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
They. I was. That's. I mean, that's. I looked at their schedule and I was like, oh, okay, all right, all right, let's go.
so
Like they scared me.
so
Um,
another one of my phrases. That's why we play the games, folks.
Yep, exactly,
so
exactly. Yeah,
so
and I agree. I think it is clears, and I think it's calms is the other one. I think there was definitely some situations where if one guy's calm and then I'm going up, another guy can calm. That I'll be down to your right or down to your, like it's all the calm situations. I don't, like I said, I don't know how much they calm, but it may just be evaluating what are you calming about. Yeah, and then it was a lot of it was, since the clears were not as far, the midfield was like kind of where we lived. Um, so that is a symptom of the clears. Not That's not a separate meta issue. That's just like we sat there because that's where the clears were coming.
yeah.
If they came all the way to our back wall, we would have sat much, or our last man would have sat much further back. but heck of a game,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
and
also, shout out to if they do watch this video, shout out to Urfo for he was the first team captain that got to me first before any like I got in touch with every single other team captain this season, and most of the time they wouldn't respond to me until like a day before it was time to schedule. Shout out to Urfo for getting to me like 3 days before we even had to schedule. That was amazing.
oh yeah, I am going to give major props to Herfro for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody who does
Great
that,
person.
even if I'm
Yeah,
not in their league or division or tier or whatever, you get definitely. I mean, whatever the currency of exposure, but you get a shout out there because
absolutely. Yeah,
that helps keep everything running smoothly.
yeah.
And
That is great.
a, another comment for Claytonwood on comms because I saw
Sure.
this. I don't know what console you're on. Um, obviously you're on console because I'm on PC and I see the SciNet. Um, if you have access to a phone, try and use Discord or any communication service over your phone
Oh, Teams is
versus
another good one.
versus just the onboard with the console.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
little laggier.
yeah, I as someone who's made the switch from PS4 to PC, um, the again, so I only have the experience with the Sony software, and the Switch doesn't have any, as far as I know. Um,
Yeah, just text.
but but there is a different lag. It's like it's at least half a second to a second, and that really makes a difference. And you know, when you as you're at this rank developing those decision making skills, you want every second, every half a second, every tenth of a
Yeah,
second to get. And if you're calling that out on comms, I mean, that's that is awesome because you're recognizing it.
absolutely.
I'm just saying like the advantage is if you can try and eliminate the console party system, at least have it. If your phone again, if you're teenagers and don't have income, you have to make do with what you got. So
Yeah, yeah,
I can't fault you for using it. But if you have the opportunity, try and look into it. Um, the quality isn't great when you're over your speakerphone, but you do hear your teammates just a little bit faster, and sometimes it just makes all the difference in the world.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And,
just
and you nailed it. You nailed it. With it is about half a second to a second. And if you think about that in terms of think about your ping.
yeah
So how bad would you play if your ping was 500 to 1,000? Right. That's the difference in terms of delay. So that's really important to think about. But yeah, absolutely, I completely agree with all that. But I'm gonna go ahead and head back to my channel. It was a pleasure doing this post analysis recap. And yeah, I mean, if I'm ever on and you're doing one of these, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to jump in during the analysis and be like, hey, so this is what we were talking about, this is what we were thinking, that kind of a thing.
okay.
So
Well, as kind of a preview, if I can cast your other remaining two games, I know I mentioned this probably week 5 or 6. I will gladly, even if Roy's doing one for you guys as well, I will
absolutely,
gladly,
dude,
I will gladly
let's
do a
go.
breakdown.
Yeah,
Especially
as
now
much
that,
breakdowns as we can get, dude.
especially now that I have a lot of free time on my hands.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
well, I actually got. Well, it's I just for the club. I'm doing some side stuff, but now that I don't have to worry about gameplay for about a couple weeks, a month or so,
Yeah,
I have all suddenly I find I have all of this free time on my hand. No, but I've actually really enjoyed um, casting TVT's games.
great. I'm
Um,
glad, man.
it's just there's just a totally different vibe. It may be actually hey because you guys are again not dunking on you that
No, no,
you're
we're lower
you're
ranked.
down you're lower ranked,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah,
just it's been actually fun to watch, and I guess because I can only dunk on my own club for so long during a
sure,
cast. It's like it's
absolutely.
it's kind of refreshing. But no, like I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass. Like I've generally enjoyed it. It's just like man, I hope Tiesto gets back to me with a time that works for me. And now it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
well there I shouldn't have a problem, and maybe I'll snub my club along the way. Um, if Well, now if we can get to the semis with our two remaining teams, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'll always be glad. I'll always be glad to do that,
yeah, we'd really
and
appreciate it
do
because we
this.
usually have a pretty good crowd. I think this is actually the smallest. I think we only had 4 people in there this time.
Yeah, I think
But
there.
I mean,
I think there were
yeah.
a couple BBC members, yeah, and a couple TBT. I think you're right. There were about 4 or 5.
Oh well,
Um,
I was just talking in our channel. Like
oh,
they'll get in our Discord channel and they talk during the match, right?
yeah,
And they watch your stream. But yeah, normally we've got like I think our last game of the season we had like 7 or 8 people in our channel.
yeah.
But yeah,
You guys brought me up to double-digit viewers.
we try to show up, man. Like that's what I'm saying is like that's why I really appreciate you streaming because people really want to watch our games, and you show up, so it's awesome, man. We really appreciate it a ton. So yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, it's really great having you just stream. I mean, with the breakdowns, it's even better. Like that's just gravy. Like we love to break down our own play and be like, okay, so like what could we have done better here? And especially with an not anonymous, but like a third party, right? A person who's not directly involved with it. That's great. Yeah, we really appreciate it. I mean, that's one of the reasons we've gotten so much better is we have you doing these breakdowns, we have Roy doing his breakdowns, and like with all these things, we started to internalize some of this stuff that we've been learning throughout our play. So yeah, it's important. It's important. But yeah,
Well, you are quite welcome. All right, we should probably get this love fest now taken care of. I'll
absolutely,
I'll let you get I'll let you get back to it.
absolutely.
Um, so for the rest of you that are watching, I think in an hour, um, this again only matters if it's live. We do have a BBC match coming up. Um, so so if you're watching that, stay tuned for that. I am going to take the stream down so I can officially end this video. Um, I'm going to have a heck of a time doing that, and my Rocket League is stuck anyways. So, for everyone that has watched, thank you all for watching. I hope you get something out of this. If you're watching on the VOD, thank you for watching on this. If you have any questions, you can reach me in. Well, probably the best way to contact me through this is through the Discord. So, yeah. Wow, it doesn't even show my ID. Give me a second. I think I'm under Chris Pound. What am I? Who am I? Under Chris Pound 0871. Just based on everything, that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Uh, so, yeah. But once again, thank you all for watching and enjoy the rest of your day, night, afternoon, whenever. We'll catch you next time.